Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 235, Too Fast, Too Furious, Lap 11. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by Liquid Gravity Brewing. I recommend you try their Miami Heist Hazy Double IPA. It is brewed with Centennial and Citra hops. Check out the Miami Heist Double IPA at Liquid Gravity Brewing.
Well, shout out to Liquid Gravity. And Joe, welcome to the first podcast in the Fast X era.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Joe, extracurricular activities. What have you been up to since we last spoke?
Nothing super much. I had like a little bit of a cold, so I wasn't doing much. But Friday, Rachel started some seedlings for the garden this year, and I already have some sprouts. So
what are you growing? Like what seedlings?
Tomatoes, some green beans, some green peppers, some basil, because we ate like a ton of pesto.
Basil, please.
Basil. Yeah, some basil. That's it that I can remember.
Cool.
But yeah, a ton of tomatoes because we like blew through a ton of tomatoes last year. So yeah, I'm getting excited for that. They're always fun to just like watch them get moving. And that's pretty much it. We recently started Better Call Saul because the last season's out.
Wait, you've never seen any of it?
I've seen like the first season or two, but I was watching it while Rachel was like working at night.
Right.
So I was watching without her, so she was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And so we're going through like the first season of it now, and we'll catch up and watch the end. But that's been pretty much it TV-wise and entertainment-wise. Yeah, I had like a really gentle weekend, but that's it. How about you?
Sunday was Easter, so I went to my parents' house for Easter. They
Cool.
are moving soon, so this is the last Easter in that house, which is, we had 3 last Christmases. I guess we've had 3 last Easters too, but it wasn't as, whatever.
Did they have a new house? Did they buy somewhere?
No,
that
they're
going
to move in with my sister for the time being while they look for a place down there. So
okay, and they decided on Texas. I thought they were going to the Carolinas, but they're going to Texas now.
No, it's Texas. It's been Texas for a while. But
okay,
yeah.
cool.
Got my house painted today. It's in the process of getting
Looks
painted,
beautiful.
and not in the Irishman sense I heard you paint houses, but actually literally paint houses. Yeah, so it's going from green to blue, which is very exciting.
You picked a great color. I saw a picture. It looks awesome. They look like they're doing a good job. And I really like the color. Yeah, I do.
Cool. Yeah. So it'll be done by the time this episode comes out. Even for patrons, it should be done by then. So that's very exciting. I don't know. Okay. I know why. It's kind of dumb. Not really dumb, but 5 years ago, Easter 2017, I was watching, we were doing Cinemakers. Me, Mike, and Tobin were doing Cinemakers, Steven Soderbergh. And on Easter, I watched Out of Sight, which is the Clooney J-Lo movie. And I was like, I love this movie. I've seen this movie before. I love this movie. I want to watch this more. So this is now an Easter tradition. So now for the 5 Easters since then, so 6 Easters in a row, I have watched Out of Sight. It has nothing to do with Easter. Absolutely nothing to do with Easter. But it's my Easter movie, and it's great. It's perfect. If you've not seen Out of Sight,
it's tied in your own brain to Easter. You just linked
not
it.
even like this. Yeah, kind of. I was just like, oh, all right, I got to watch this movie again. So yeah, so I watched Out of Sight on Sunday. Bob and I started last night the first episode of Ozark because what did we finish? We finished
Severance.
Because he and I just remotely watch one every other day. No, we did Severance a while ago. Oh, we finished Minx, that HBO Max show I was talking about last week, whatever. But we watched the first episode of Ozark. Did you watch Ozark? I can't remember if you like it or haven't seen it yet.
Rachel and I watched like 1 or 2 episodes of it and we couldn't get into it. Her parents love it. It was on our like, oh, we should probably do this because I think it just finished or is releasing the last season, right?
Yeah, they're doing, I think, the Sopranos thing now. Well, I guess, everybody's done it since then, where they split in the final season into 2 halves. So I think it's like 14. Like, I think the first 3, and I might not have these numbers wrong, but like, I think the first 3 seasons are like 10 episodes each, and the 4th one, the final one's gonna be like 14 or something.
It'll be like 7 and 7.
And they did 7 and 7. So the first 7 are out. So we watched it. He seems to have liked it more because, we were texting while we were watching, and he seems to like it more than I did, but I still liked it.
I've heard great things. Like, I've heard nothing but great things. So, like, it's on our to-do list. We were, like, when we picked Better Call Saul, we were debating between this and Ozark, and we picked Better Call Saul because we were like, oh, like, we keep seeing commercials, like, last season, like, coming out.
Right,
so we're like, okay, so, like, by the time we catch up, it'll be like, okay, we could watch, like, the last couple or whatever, so.
Right, yes. So we did that. So, it's just very slow. I think we're going to alternate those seasons with whatever. So we probably won't finish it for like months.
A show, or what is whatever the name of a specific
show?
No,
just we don't know. I don't know yet. Like, we're going to watch like the first season of Ozark, then we'll watch a season of something else. We'll watch the second season of Ozark.
Okay,
cool.
Whatever. So that's fun.
Yes. My favorite TV show, whatever.
Hey, man, you watch a lot of shit that I've never heard of. So, like, it could have been a show that you're like, yeah, the new show, whatever, with like 17 actors,
There's got to be a TV show. Let's see. IMDb, whatever.
There has to be.
There was 2 movies called Whatever. One from 98 and one from 99, which feels very appropriate.
Yes.
98 has been seen by 1,000 people. 99 has been seen by 800. Oh. When we were watching the X-Files, there's this other show that Chris Carter made called Millennium. Have you heard of Millennium?
Only from you, I think. But go ahead.
So Millennium takes place in like the Pacific Northwest, and it like the season or the series finale like crossed over with the X-Files because either got canceled or I don't know what.
Cool.
The goal was to watch Millennium in line, like in release order with the X-Files, and then we would get to the finale.
Yeah.
Halfway through the first episode, I'm like, I can't do this, guys. I'm sorry, this show is terrible.
It's that bad.
I have no interest in this. It's just like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, if we're gonna watch 2 episodes of the X-Files every Saturday night, like I look forward to it or whatever, right? And then to watch this bullshit instead, like not only am I not liking it, but it also means that week that we're not watching the X-Files.
Yep.
And I was just like, there's too much going on here that I can't, like, I wish you guys all the luck in the world. If you want to keep watching it, please keep watching it, but I don't want to. And I think I gave it one more episode, and then I don't know that they've even watched episode 3. I think they were going to, but whatever. But when we're talking about whatever, you know how I don't know if you know, probably you might know, the end of every X-Files intro ends with the text on like the lightning background screen that just says the truth is out there, right? Like it's just every episode, some episodes have a different thing, whatever. It's like, ooh, this is a special one. But every intro for Millennium ends with just ... who cares? And it's like, what? Why are you like downplaying your own thing? Like, who cares about this bullshit? And like, I guess it's like the disaffected like grunge era Pacific Northwest or whatever. But it's also just like, give me something, man. Like, don't be like, oh, who cares about my show? It's like, no, people care. So also, whatever. But also, I've been just playing. I was telling you that I've been playing a ton of Elden Ring. So there's the hardest boss in the game, I think, is the one I'm trying to beat now. There's this whole lore. Do you know anything about pop culture about this like character? Let me solo her. Have you seen these words? Have you seen this? Do you know about this at all or no?
I've seen it, but I had no idea where it came from. Go ahead.
So there's this boss in Elden Ring called Millennium, Sword of Mikola. And she is very difficult. And not only is she hard and she's fast and she hits hard, but every time she hits you, she drains your life. So, like, not only is she hurting you, but she's also absorbed. She's, like, gaining her health back. It's very, very difficult.
Okay.
And she has 2 phases, and the second phase, whatever, it's hard. There was this summon that went viral on Reddit. So in the game, you can summon like non-playable characters that like you meet. Like if you do their quest, like they will join you for certain battles.
Okay.
There's like these like
Makes
spirits
sense.
you can summon, but also there's multiplayer summon. So like if you're on a computer, you can in theory summon anybody. So if your friends want to help you, if you just need a stranger, if you just can't do this.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there was this thing on Reddit that said I was trying to beat her. It took me like 200 tries. I couldn't do it. I just wanted to get done with it. So I summoned, and I looked for a summon, and there was this guy that just said, "Let me solo her." And so if this guy who is his attire is he's naked, except he's got like a little loincloth on, and he's got a jar around his head, and he's got 2 katanas.
Okay.
And this guy has perfected this battle, and so all he does now seemingly is just wait at the ready for people to summon him to fight this boss, and he wins every time. And so because of just like the name and the look and the fact that he's so effortlessly beating, like, I mean, the thing with this game is like it's very, very difficult, but like every boss has a pattern, and like once you figure out how to beat them, it's not the hardest thing in the world. It's just about executing, maybe getting a little lucky or whatever, right? So once you know, you can do it. But he's just beating her over and over and over again. So there's all of this like fan art commemorating him and like drawing him in things, and people are like 3D printing statues of him, and he's doing interviews now, and like this, it's this whole like cultural phenomenon. Like he's like the first like, you know, celebrity of Elden Ring, because like he's single-handedly like messing up the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah.
So she's the one that I'm on now. I can't summon him as far as I know because it's not cross-platform, and so he plays on PC and I'm on Xbox. Not that I would want to, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. So I think they even like modded the computer, like somebody modded the computer version to like you can summon him as a spirit or at least someone who looks like him. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm on that, and then I think like I don't know if there's anything in between. I don't know how much of the main story I've left, but I'm pretty sure the next like real boss I fight in the story is the final one. So I'm like very close, theoretically, unless I really just can't beat Millennium. By the time we record next, I will have beaten Elden Ring. But I'm like 112 hours in or something. Like I've spent so much time. I spent more time playing this game than any other like story game in like a decade or more. I can't like I've spent more time playing Spelunky, but like it's the same thing over and over. Like I have just gotten sucked into this game and it's awesome. But yeah, Elden Ring again rules. So I have like 2 bosses left. I have Millennium and then the final boss or whatever, and then you can go back in like a good new game plus and just keep going or whatever. So I might do that. I don't know, TBD. But I'm also gonna be glad to just be like, I can do other things. I'm not gonna have in my entire mind, you know, focused on this one game, right? So
yeah,
who knows? But anyway, it's great. And that's basically it, I think, for extracurricular activities. We have a Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenin, Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renano, DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Tez. Thank you all for supporting the $5 a month level or above. We just got one of the things from the email today is that Jason Rainey took the first quiz, so you have access to the Fast and Furious Minute quizzes if you're a patron.
Oh, yeah.
At toofast2forever.com.
What'd he do? How'd he do?
Let's see how he did.
Well, we don't want to put him on blast, but...
No, he got 78, which I would say is passing.
Yeah, that quiz is fucking hard.
Yeah,
what was our high scores? Like, I don't think either of us broke 100, so... I think I was like 96 or something.
Nick Burris got a 94. I got a 113. I got 113 out of 113 when I took it again a couple days later. I'm like, I remembered it. When we did it on air or whatever, I got an 84, you got a 93, and then Ben Milliman got a 92. So the high water mark is Nick Burris's 94.
Nice.
Then you at 93, then Ben at 92. So 78, if we curve that up to, curve you up to basically, or Nick up to 113, Jason's right about 100 or so. So pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. It's insanely difficult, so yes.
I mean, there's people who have taken it, have gotten in the 40s, in the 60s, so...
And those are actually pretty respectable scores. Like, they're not shame worthy. Like, that's...
Quiz so hard. So
hard, yeah.
The hardest question, apparently, 4 out of 15 people have gotten. What number can be found on the train that Dom and Brian jump in front of? 13... Oh, no. Do you know the number?
It's like 29, 89...
No, it's 31, 34, but we have 4 different numbers that all look the same, so...
Okay, fun.
Yeah, boy, yeah. But yes, so shout out to Jason Rainey. But that's a perk. If you join the Patreon at toofast2forever.com, you get access to quizzes, bonus episodes, early access, all sorts of stuff at toofast2forever.com. And if you don't want to do that, if you just want to let us know you're listening, or both, either way, toofast or family at cageclub.me. Send us a note. Joe, we have a new comment, not on Heat. So our Heat episode, very, very long.
Yes.
Roughly 5 minutes shorter than the movie. So I would imagine at some point people are going to be mad that it's not the actual movie Heat, it's just us talking about Heat. We've not gotten those yet, but we did get one from Fast Eddie. You want to guess what there's only a couple, and it's one of the few, but which movie do you think Fast Eddie is not thrilled about our episode on?
Two-Lane Blacktop.
Two-Lane Blacktop. Fast Eddie just says, total suck. And so I Googled total suck or something, and I found a slogan for an old vacuum cleaner. I responded, nothing sucks like Electrolux, but Fast Eddie has not responded yet. Shout out to Fast Eddie. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us know you're out there. Total suck on 2-lane blacktop. But the actual email from Jerry Robinson, subject line, new rankings list.
What up, Jerry? How are you doing, bud?
So Jerry sends in, he's doing well. Happy 420 to Jerry, because he says, hey guys, a random idea came to mind that Ileana and I did was watch the movies. But after a few good puffs from an enjoyable strand, I put together a list starting from least to best.
Okay.
From 10 up, he ranks all 10.
Happy 420, Jerry.
His number 10, Hobbs and Shaw, drops from 8 down to 10.
Okay.
Number 9, he does not have reasons for any of these, he's just the numbers.
That's fine.
Number 9, he has Too Fast, which jumps from 7 to 9, so falls a couple.
Okay.
Number 8, he has 1F, which goes from 3 all the way down to 8.
Jeez, okay.
Oh, wait, no. Okay, I'm sorry. I misread this email. Okay, here we go. I don't know that these are like official. This is more of like a Joe 2 kind of ranking where it's how enjoyable the movie is.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So that's in reverse. I sort of spoiled the end of the list, but from the bottom up, least enjoyable, 4. He says 4 is least enjoyable.
Okay.
Then number 2, 9.
Okay.
Then 6. Then 7. Then 8. So I feel it's strange that 8 is more enjoyable than 7 and 6, but maybe that baby scene bumps it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're sitting there and you're like the Chipmunks, Alvin and the Chipmunks, I dig it.
And then here we go, 3, then 5, then 1, 2, Hobbs. So Hobbs, the most enjoyable. You keep saying Hobbs and Shaw is a fun movie.
It's a lot of fun.
Defense of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so sorry, Jerry, that I misinterpreted your list, but I figured it out while we were doing it. But, yeah, after a few good puffs, from an enjoyable standpoint, starting from least to best. So 4 is the least enjoyable, Hobbs and Shaw, most enjoyable.
I'm glad that Jerry agrees. I think the movie gets, like, rightfully so, it gets some criticisms because it is presented by the Fast and the Furious. But like if you just took it as a standalone movie, you'd be like, oh, this is a really fun The Rock and Jason Statham movie. So
he says that was fun to make, and after watching New Girl, which is also fun to watch, hi. That's all I got for now. Be fast, never last. Don't get past, you'll lose that ass. No Monica.
Thank you, Jerry, for writing in.
If you want to email in family@cageclub.me, we'll read on the next episode. We also have a store, Too Fast, TooForever.shop. No new designs there yet, but I will get them up eventually.
I wore my Cha-Cha-Cha shirt to work yesterday.
Cool. Very cool. Did anybody comment on it or no?
No, nobody had any idea what it was. And I get a lot of comments on like random t-shirts I wear to work. So like I know people like notice them, but I think everybody's just like very confused what the Cha-Cha-Cha one is about.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever.
Too Fast, TooForever.shop for those. And if you have not yet, if you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever, please do so. Thank you so very much. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
We have Fast 10, Fast X, the official title.
Yeah, they even used a fasten your seatbelts joke in their tweet release of the name. So
did they?
Yeah, it said fasten your seatbelts. It didn't say fast 10 your seat. It just said fasten your seatbelts.
Oh, I didn't see that. Hold on.
Which is like a little nod to everyone being like, you should call this Fast 10 your seatbelts.
Gotcha. Okay, because the way that I saw it was
Aaron Newworth.
Aaron tweeted at us, fasten your seatbelts, Fast X is now in production.
Yes, that. So they even gave like a little tip of the hat to the fasten your seatbelts thing. I like that.
There are people saying that, like, could this be Triple X, the return of Xander Cage crossover? We place both? Who knows? But
didn't we just talk about like Dom playing two characters in the same movie? Vin playing two characters in the same movie and one of them being Dom?
Did we?
I feel like we just did in something, and we were like, what if he plays like Triple X? I feel like we just talked about this. Like, I know somebody else tweeted it.
Maybe. I don't know. Very possible. I can't keep anything straight anymore.
Yeah, that works.
The other thing, I never know really when to put this in. So other than Fast X being the official title, the question is, how do you say it? Do you still say Fast 10 or do you say Fast X? Because it's stylized as Fast X. But X also Roman numeral for 10, so do we call it Fast 10?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that it's we have to hear Vin say it, and which version does he say at which time is also going to be interesting.
Because he might not even have it straight, as we saw for F9, right? So
yeah, Fast Saga, F9, Fast 9. Like, he called it every which way. So I think that he's gonna come out and be like Fast 10, and then like he's gonna do an interview and it's gonna be like Fast X is coming out, and then like like whatever he feels at the time.
FX, right? Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly.
Also last week, so I don't know, is there any other news that you've seen? Because there's something from Twitter that I want to share, but is there any other news that you have seen about these movies?
No, just Fast X/10 is starting production, and that's what it's gonna be called.
I think it's kind of funny, and this is just like they're, thinking about other things and just the Brie Larson news and the Fast X, the Fast 10, whatever news. I kind of forgot for a moment that, like, Momoa signed on too.
Yes.
And they're like, Jason Momoa not only signed on to do Fast and Furious, but he's also doing the Minecraft movie. And I'm like, oh, right, he's in Fast and Furious. Okay, cool. So we got Momoa, we got Brie Larson, and we got an official title, right? So
there's going to be a Minecraft movie. Oh, God.
There's going to be every kind of movie, man.
I know. It's just like when they released like an Angry Birds movie, I was like, how? Why?
Money, money, money.
Exactly.
The John Wick guy is going to do a Streets of Rage movie, which should be pretty good. So,
What is Streets of Rage? Okay. Another video game?
Oh, that from like Genesis, back in the Genesis days? Genesis, Super Nintendo. It was great. They remastered, they put out a fourth one like last year, and it was awesome. It was so good. It was way better than it had any right to be. But yeah, there were 3 on the Genesis.
Is it just a fighting game? Is it just like Mortal Kombat?
No, it's like
whatever?
A street brawler. Like, it's a side scroller. It's like the Turtles game or like the Simpsons game or whatever, but you're different characters and you like fight your way to the end. Same kind of concept as that, but
Makes
Streets
sense.
of Rage. That's great.
Cool.
But I want to bring up, so on Friday night, Reaction Rocket tweeted at us about watching along with the lap. I noticed that we don't actually get confirmation that Jesse's dead, although it certainly does look that way. Refresh my memory. Does Vince mention him having been killed in his, quote, "Where's our family now" speech in Fast 5? And I said, good question, don't think so. Can anyone confirm for sure? And there was some back and forth. But then the one thing, there's a lot of good stuff. Check out our Twitter if you want the full conversation. But I wanted to bring this up. You might have seen this one. I don't know.
Okay.
But Jason Rainey, he of the signed copy of Too Fast, Too Furious, today's movie, said crackpot theory to bring Jesse back into the franchise, bleeding out. He dragged himself to Dom's garage, used his tech know-how to jerry-rig a way to keep himself alive.
Okay.
Had to constantly upgrade his body to keep going. Eventually wants to improve himself to superhuman levels, so he'll never lose another race. He either loses his way, and this leads to the founding of Etion, or his work is co-opted by them and is being forced to work for them. Either way, Dom sees an opportunity to save him. So Jason Rainey suggesting that Jesse, either the mastermind behind Etion or working for Etion, and that's a great way to cross over the Hobbs and Shaw universe with our main core franchise.
I absolutely agree. I really like that idea. And Jesse, they call him the mad scientist. It would be cool if he became a mad scientist at some point.
Right?
I really like this theory. I think that it's a lot of fun. Yeah, he could be the voice of Etion. He could be the head of Etion. And, he could be like a brain in a jar type situation now. His body has gone through so many evolutions, and he can't sustain a human robotic form anymore, but his conscience lives on in the ooze.
Yeah.
I like everything about it. That's awesome. I do like that.
Great theory from Jason. So if you have theories like that, either email it in or just, jump in the conversation, because we had him going, we had Reaction Rock, we had Anna Bolina, we had all sorts of people going on Friday night. So check in at Too Fast, Too Forever on Twitter. But speaking of Hobbs and Shaw, Joe, is Dwayne Johnson in F10?
FX.
Fast X.
Fast X.
Is he, though?
No, absolutely not.
He did sign on to do... What did he just sign on to do? It was another video game movie, I think. Oh, or he's producing... There was a game that came out like last year that I think you and Rachel might... It's like a co-op, sort of couch co-op kind of thing called It Takes Two.
We played it. We talked about it.
He's producing it, or he's starring in it, or something.
Oh, they're making a movie of that with The Rock is producing it?
I think so. Hold on.
Oh, I can't wait to tell Rachel.
It Takes Two... What's funny is that there's DJ Easy Rock was on the It Takes Two song from the 90s, or the 80s or whatever, 88. So when you search The Rock, It Takes Two, that's what comes up first.
It Takes Two to make... Is it that one? It Takes Two to make a thing go right? Okay, yeah. He's
going to executive produce it, and he might star in it. It's going to be an Amazon Prime movie, or an Amazon. It might release to theaters or whatever, but Amazon is distributing it, so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But speaking of The Rock, speaking of Dewey Johnson, Joe, Young Rock, Season 2, Episode 6, Kiss and Release. This is a. I thought when I saw the title that this was going to be like a wrestling thing that not adult, but like oldest Dewey was learning. But
No.
this is a lesson that young Dewey learns from Andre the Giant about kissing and releasing people and like respecting them.
Yeah, it's pretty much about respecting women and their choices, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love the episodes with Andre the Giant. I think the guy that plays him is really, really cool. I like the light that The Rock sees Andre the Giant in, and like the influence he had on like a very, very young Rock. And I think it's just cute, right? Like, because you always imagine Andre the Giant being a giant and a wrestler, and he was,
Yeah.
playing like a kind of villain, and like to see him be like so gentle with children and fish and birds and stuff just makes me really love him even more. So I thought this one was a really good one. We're going through like the grandma's trial still, which I guess is part of the storyline, but something that I kind of don't care about. Like she's great, the character's great, but like the trial storyline thing, I'm like, okay, whatever. I do like youngest Dewey as an episode. I'm scared that we're gonna get like a teenage Dewey episode next time.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess what's he doing? Shoplifting still, right?
Still
I'm not sure.
stealing, more stealing, yes, stealing everything.
What I did like about the Andre the Giant, which I don't think about because I don't really know much about him other than just like his persona, is that like how French this makes him. Like
He's
he's
very
drinking
French.
wine, he's speaking French, he's whatever, just French kind of mindset, right? So
Yeah, he was like very, very French, right? Like
yeah.
that's it. Like he was just like "Urgh," like as a person, but yeah.
What I loved about this was that young Dewey is acting out because he has a crush on a girl and he wants to get her attention. She keeps ignoring him, and eventually
Oh
Andre the
God.
Giant says basically like let her free, like release her into the world. And at the end, she's just like, I think Dewey Johnson just respected me? Question mark.
Yeah.
But what I loved, my favorite part was that his parents are talking at the dinner table. They're the wrestlers, and the mom's like, "Aren't you concerned?" And Rocky's just like, "Oh, he's just turning heel for a couple weeks." And just funny that like he's
Yes.
applying the wrestling vernacular to regular everyday life, right? Just like, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's just he's playing the part." But it's like not really. I mean, he kind of is, but like it's just funny. Like that use was very funny.
I like that. Yeah, his dad just like lives the business, right? Even
Hmm.
like when he's like talking to Andre the Giant, and he's like, I didn't want to tell my dad because he would have been like, "Can you sell her some of my merch? Is she a wrestling fan?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense."
Yeah. But my favorite line in the episode went to Randall Park in the opening, where he talks about being. I once played an online bully in a Lars von Trier movie. Do you know Lars von Trier? Do you know that name? Have you seen his movies? Do you know about his movies?
No, what is it?
He did like the Nymphomaniac movies. He did Dancer in the Dark and Melancholia and Antichrist and Dogville, like these really heavy, violent, graphic, somber, just like serious. So that to imply that between now and like 2032 or whatever, he's gonna make a movie wherein there's like an online bully. It's just a really funny joke because it's just like it's the opposite of like popcorn. Like he just makes like the most art house, like not NC-17, but like adult in like every way, serious, intense movies to be like, oh yeah, it was an online bully, like played by Randall Park. It's like that's like it's just the perfect
Yeah.
director name pull for that. So good episode, I think. Not my favorite. I still, like we said last time, I think like the oldest Dewey most, but young
Yeah.
Dewey's pretty great.
No, young Dewey's pretty great, and he's a good actor. I'm always excited to see young Dewey episodes. I hope that like teenage Dewey like comes around on us, but I'm scared that he might not, and we just have to like sit through those ones and be like, oh,
And I
okay.
think I think middle Dewey is a great actor. I think he might be maybe my favorite actor of the three, possibly. But it's just the stories. I just I don't know.
Stealing.
It's an awkward period.
It's
Yeah.
all it's all him stealing shit. But you know what? And what also sucks is like last season the whole like what is it, Hot Karen?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like the whole like Hot Karen story arc was great. Like when he like worked in the pizza shop and like what like stole the car or whatever. Like that whole thing was awesome.
Yeah, but now he moved, and so like all those people are gone, right? So every like all the emotion and the time we invested in them, gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other thoughts about this episode of Young Rock?
No, pretty good. I still really like the show, so I'm happy with it. I'm cruising along. It's enjoyable for sure.
We're roughly somewhat. I still don't know if we have a real episode count, but we're about halfway through the season, so still, I wonder how many seasons they will do before the actual election. Like if there's going to be another one, because we're like 10 days out in real time, right? So
E-
interesting to think about.
but wait, so but the actual real life election will be 2024, right?
Right, but this is in like 2032 or whatever, right? So this is like way in the future.
But I think they gotta like kind of line it up that election year is the Rock's election.
That's going to be so they have to have 2 more seasons in these like 10 days or whatever. I mean, they could because that doesn't actually happen in real time, right? Like it's all flashbacks. So maybe.
Yeah, and like he was starting the campaign last season, right? So
Yeah,
it's like, how far out was he then? Like maybe a
I don't know.
month?
Well, I have no idea, but I know that we are like within 2 weeks of the election and things are moving and shaking.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see.
The final thing to do, though, before we take a break and bring in John Brooks to talk about Too Fast, is the Fast and Furious minute 58. The minute I called She's Beautiful, isn't she?
How you doing?
Good. You enjoying your night?
Yeah, I'm having a good time.
Good, good. She's beautiful, isn't she?
Yeah. She's gorgeous.
You got balls, kid. I can appreciate that. Women are a very powerful force. You see the blonde sitting with the gentleman right here. 5 minutes of her time, and she can get anything she wants from him.
I love her hair.
Watch. I wonder where they're going.
So in this minute, in Carter's private area in the Pearl, Brian and Carter make awkward small talk. They talk about how beautiful Monica Fuentes is in front of her, so she and Roman can hear them talk, before Carter transitions focus to seductress and explains the power she and all women have as the minute ends. So this is basically a minute of Carter being weird and creepy.
You said this in the overview. Do you think that Roman and Monica actually hear them?
Yes, because the way that they cut to them, Roman... So either they're reacting just to the, like, tense standoff, but I think they can hear it, because, like, Roman just, like...
But it's a club. It's like a nightclub. Like, even if you're in, like, the couch booth, like...
I know, but I still think the way that they're cutting to it, what the movie's implying, not thinking about the reality of the situation, what the movie is implying is that they can hear him. At least Roman can, because Roman, like, has, like, a deep sigh of relief after Brian passes the test, where, like, Carter smiles as "you got balls, kid," or whatever. But, like, Roman's just like, oh. So I think the movie's suggesting, I think, they can both hear it, which is very, very awkward. Awkward for Monica. Who gives a shit about Roman? But, like, awkward for Monica.
I think that it's really, like, Roman's just, like, reading tension, and he's like, is he going to swing on him right here, just based on, like, what I'm seeing of how close they are?
Because the thing is, like, Carter has his back to Roman, so when Carter breaks and starts smiling, it's not like Roman could see the smile. Either way, it's
weird.
Awkward.
Yeah.
It's weird. Carter Verone, a weird dude. Like, the more that I watch this movie, the more I just think that he's the most dangerous, unhinged villain in the franchise. Because he's a psychopath. It's absolute psychopath bullshit.
Yes. I was going to ask you, what is your response, and what do you think the appropriate response to that question is? Eva Mendes, like, even if that's someone's girlfriend, and they're like, hey, she's pretty beautiful, isn't she? Like, are you like, no?
Well, like, that's the weird thing. It's like, it's the stereotypical thing, I think, like, in movies and stuff you see, is when, like, for instance, like, a guy and a girl are out on a date, and a hot girl walks by, and the girl is just like, what do you think? You think she's hot? And, like, that's also awkward. But, like, it's somehow less awkward than this, because it's like, he's a bad dude who can have you killed, and might just have you killed, but you also have to work for him, and you're doing the thing for the cops, and you also have a crush on this girl, and she's right there. I guess the right answer that Carter's looking for is yeah.
Like, you have to say yeah, because if not, you're lying, right? Like,
I think he's just looking for confidence, maybe? I have no idea.
I think that if you say, like, no, or I didn't notice, then he knows that you're, like, shifty and lying. So if you're just like, yeah, I mean, like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, my answer would have to be like, yeah, dude, like, it's fucking Eva Mendes. But you know what I mean? Like you see her. That's your girlfriend. She's fucking yeah. Look around. Like she's
Yeah.
top tier. Like what are you talking about? Like obviously she's really hot. Like that's we all know it.
So I don't even know what the point is. It's just like he's bragging,
Yeah.
but it's also like I guess he just wants to hear like, yeah, I got a hot girlfriend.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's
Cool,
very
man.
very straight. And then like pressury about it, and then being like, you got balls to say it. Like, bro, we all know. Like everyone knows. And he wasn't like, oh, she has a fat ass, doesn't she? You know what I mean? To where it's like, oh, like I think that would make it even worse. He's just like, is she pretty? You're like, yeah, she's really pretty.
Yeah, the answer is never no. Never no.
Right? Yeah.
Even if she's not attractive, what do you get out of saying no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. Like, what if he's like, nah, dude, she's busted. Like, what? Like,
I don't know. It's insane. Did you highlight this text, this dialogue in red, or did I do that?
I highlighted that dialogue in red because watching this movie breakdown, pause, minute by minute, he changes into the weirdest accent when he says that line.
You see the blonde sitting here. Okay. Let me listen back.
He goes
I'll listen back after the fact.
He goes like very like Mary Poppins English, kind of. He's
Okay.
like you see the blondes, and like it's in like this really weird, like almost English accent out of nowhere that like, and it's just that line. I think you should give it a listen again, real quick.
I will say while I bring this up that Seductress, I teased this last minute, is played by Tara Carroll, who has not acted a ton, but she is in the straight-to-home video Cruel Intentions 3.
Whoa.
And her other notable role that she played is Drama's fan, like Johnny Drama's fan, in an episode of Entourage.
Oh.
So not a huge filmography, but a couple things that were fun there. I also did you look at Enrique, who is the bald bouncer?
Okay.
Essentially, his bald muscle. That when Carter Verone is talking about Seductress, Enrique like looks over and he like looks sad or disappointed, and I'm just like, is he in love with Seductress? Was he like taken by her? Like, I don't know what her role is in this club. I don't know if she's in the payroll. I don't know what it is, but like Enrique, there's something going on, like fan fiction between this guy that we barely know and Seductress. It's just, I don't know. It's wild.
He thinks of her like Roxanne, like she doesn't need to be out here seducing men for Carter Verone anymore. She can be at home with him.
You see the blonde sitting over there.
Right?
It is weird. Is he Cole Hauser? What's his nationality?
That's what I was thinking. Like, is he actually English and it just comes out right there and he like just like broke for a second?
Nope. He was born in Santa Barbara.
So why did he use a weird English accent right there?
No idea.
But you hear it now, right? It's like, it's definitely not like he has like a pretty like monotone bad guy villain voice accent the whole movie, and then like right there he's like, you see the blonde, and you're like, why did
he's married to a blonde woman in real life? He's married to this woman Cynthia Daniel, who's an American photographer. So you know he witnesses he knows the power of blondes in real life too, right? So
I guess
it's so weird. I don't know. Seductress though in a red dress with like these tassels all over it. We see Rat Cop from the back. I'll get into Rat Cop when we see him from the front. I'll go through his filmography when we get to him, because we don't really know him. He hasn't really spoken yet, but we'll get more Rat Cop. But Joe, what did you notice? Anything of note in this booth?
There's 8 candles on the center table. It's hard to kind of distinguish because Carter's kind of in the way, but there's like 2 solid orange rectangle pillows, one that Monica uses for her back and one beside her, and then on each side of her there's 3 of the like more accenty kind of pillows with like the modern art design on them. So that makes 6 total of those, 2 orange rectangle ones, 8 total pillows on this giant high-backed couch. The other ones on the sides, I'm assuming, are, you know, same, like, mirrored images, whatever. There's 2 side tables on each one. Each has a candle on it. And then an interesting thing that I saw is that Seductress might be drinking a Shirley Temple.
Cool. Cute.
Yeah, she has like a... Exactly, right? It feels kind of seducey in a weird way.
Sure.
But she has like a drink that has like a lot of maraschinos in it. Rad Detective, which I'm assuming is what we're just calling him. is...
let's call him Rat Cop, Rat Detective. Either way, I'll change him to Rat Detective. I like that.
Yeah, Rat Detective. He has like a beer, but I couldn't figure out what it was. It looks like it might be a Modelo, but I can't pin it down.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Modelo makes sense. That's a Mexican beer, right?
Right.
We're near-ish, sort of, kind of Mexico in Miami, so...
Yeah, it looks like it has like something on the neck of it, and the bottle doesn't seem like it's actually the shape of like a Corona or like a standard bottle. It seems a little bit more stout, so I was just guessing it probably isn't Modelo.
For the trivia question, again, not a lot that goes on in this minute. I think the most interesting thing in this, obviously, is Seductress.
Yep.
And the question I have is, how much time does Seductress need to get anything she wants from a man? Because Carter says 5 minutes of her time, and she can have anything she wants from him. So the answer 5 minutes, but we could do like 2 minutes, 1 minute.
15 minutes of her time.
I almost think
30 seconds.
No, I think if we do like a 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I mean, because when you think about it objectively, this woman can get anything she wants from a man in 5 minutes. It's like, oh my God, that's such power. But when we ask it like this, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? It's like, well, it's not 5. It's like, all she needs is 2 minutes. It's like, oh my God. But like, the answer is 5.
1 minute. In 1 minute of her time, she can get whatever she wants. But like, realistically, 5 minutes is really fast too. Yeah.
So, trivia question for minute 58. She's beautiful, isn't she? Well, the answer, yes, that's the trivia. Is the trivia question, is Monica Fuentes beautiful? Yes or no? And then either way, Carter Verone just stares at you. How much time does Seductress at the Pearl Club need to get anything she wants from a man? Answer 5 minutes. Anything else, though, to say about this minute?
No, actually, I think we did pretty good for how little there was there, right?
Well, when I was watching this movie, I was like, oh, we're going to be at this club for another like 5 or 6 minutes. Like, there is so much more Pearl. We're going to move. We're going to go to like the rat area, whatever, right? Like, we're going to transition somewhat, but like, there's a lot more here that we're going to be here. So just like buckle up, because there's a lot more Pearl in our immediate future.
Yeah, there definitely is. We're not getting out of here anytime soon from when we watch the movie.
It's a quarter mile at a time, and I don't know.
We're 6 miles into the Pearl.
Yeah. All right, Joe, let's take a break, and let's come back with John Brooks of 1999 The Podcast to talk about Too Fast, Too Furious.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 235. This episode's brought to you by Liquid Gravity Brewing and their Miami Heist IPA, which gives bright aromas of citrus, melon, and tropical fruits exploding from the glass. Shout out to Liquid Gravity Brewing.
I know it was a slip of the tongue, but I want a tropical flute now. I don't know what that just plays like marimba music. I don't know what a tropical flute is, but I want that.
It's like you know, like when you go to a all-inclusive resort in Mexico.
It's a world music instrument.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's an instrument of the world.
It is indeed.
John, that's a Fast and Furious reference, and maybe you'll get one day. With us, so here's the thing. So John was on. First off, our guest tonight, the host of the Hard to Believe podcast here on the network, and my co-host, also on the network, of 1999 The Podcast. We have John Brooks. Hello, John.
Hi. I'm so honored.
So John was on a couple laps ago for our memory loss lap for Jacob's Ladder.
Yes.
Yeah. And we talked briefly on there, and I remembered him saying he had never seen any of these movies, mostly because they didn't really interest him. We're like, well, one day we'd love to have you on. If all things were equal, I would not have John watch Too Fast first. I think there's John, I will say that these are all perfect movies, but this is my least favorite of the 10 perfect movies. So this is not the one that I would have you watch first. I think there are ones that are objectively great that I think you would maybe not love, but enjoy more. Mm-hmm. But at 11:30 last night, our guest was just like, hey, can we move to next week? And I was just like, no, we cannot. So me scrambling, like, who have we not had on talk about one of these movies? Who have we not had in a while? And so we landed with John. So, John, first off, thank you. And number two, sorry that you watched this one, but I hope, even though you did send me some messages on Facebook that had me a little worried, I hope that you found some things in here that you enjoyed, but we will talk about that. But again, thank you, and I'm sorry.
You're welcome, and I forgive you.
Cool.
And nice to be here. Yeah, good to be back for my second ever episode of this show.
And the first ever with the Fast and Furious. So this is the first Fast and Furious movie you have ever seen.
Ever.
Correct. Yep.
And why is that? Because you watch a lot of movies.
I do. Okay. I think I told this story when we did the Jacob's Ladder episode.
Yeah, but that was like a year and a half ago in quarantine, and that was,
And I don't want to rehash, but I just feel like I've told this story. I don't know.
Nobody remembers.
Maybe I've just told you a bunch of times. I don't really know. All right, so here's the story, right? I was living in New York City in 2001, and I saw a bunch of movies that summer. Really pretty great movie summer, honestly.
As good as 1999?
Well, as a year, I don't think so. But as a summer, it's pretty great, right?
Okay, fair.
In New York City, for certain movies of a certain demographic, it's pretty easy to see movies for free, because if you do it right, like you'll find someone giving out like free tickets to a movie that they want a certain demo to see.
Makes sense.
Or you can go to test screenings, which they have a lot of in New York City as well. So that summer, I also saw a couple movies like early at some test screenings. But
very, very quickly, I'm sorry, I saw a test screening of Sunshine, the Danny Boyle film.
Oh, nice.
And it was before the CGI was done, so there's like some like spectacular ending where there's like a spaceship and everything, and it's just like this like really crude 2D like spinning vector.
Imagine
like,
spaceship here.
CGI not finished, and I'm just like, yeah, no shit, but I have not seen it for real. So like the only version of Sunshine I've seen is like this like shitty kind of unfinished. So
movie stuff can be added later. Yeah,
they can be weird sometimes. But yes, please go on.
I do think, not to get off topic here, but I do think it's fun when like there's a couple of movies that I saw in pre-screening or test screenings that I never did see the real version of, and I think there's something that like it's kind of cool that I've seen a different movie than everybody else.
Completely.
Well, yeah, because that's what's fun. Like when you read like IMDb trivia and they're like test screenings like hated this audience. The audience has hated this or whatever. Be like, that's the only version I saw. So like that's the only version I know.
Yeah. I remember I saw one I do remember seeing was Changing Lanes with Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson, for which I wrote a review for Ain't It Cool News that got published. So that's all. That's the only one I like remember distinctly as having seen, and
that's pretty cool.
Feeling like I should review it. Anyway, so I got free tickets to see Fast and the Furious, the first movie, in 2001, and I didn't go. And
was it an advanced screening or just like a regular screening that you just did not go to?
I think it was a promo screening. So it was not obviously it was not a franchise. And it was kind of a low budget movie that was in trying to like break out in a pretty crowded summer movie field of 2001. And so I think they were trying to get people like me. I was 22, male, white.
Yeah.
And they were like, go see this movie so you can tell all of your friends. And I was like, okay. So I got a free ticket and I was like, I don't think I want to see this movie. And I didn't. And I continued not seeing Fast and Furious movies for the last 21 years.
I'm glad you held strong.
Until today. So I don't know why. There was just something, I don't know why I didn't see it, honestly. But I feel like once I didn't see it, I had to kind of like commit myself to not seeing any movie in this franchise. And there was some things about the first movie that I was kind of worried about. Like I was like, I'm not going to like this. And I feel like some of those things were confirmed when I saw Too Fast today.
Well, there's something remarkable about the first movie and then this movie and then Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Where if you watch the three of those, you're like, how do these movies, and again, we love them.
Yeah.
But like, how do these three movies that are, I think two is maybe objectively the worst movie in the franchise.
That's what I gathered.
Three is just weird.
Yeah.
But like, how do these movies not only keep getting made, but somehow lead a franchise where it makes $1 billion a movie? Like, it just the actual like
logistics.
Yes, it's mind-boggling. It's so weird.
Yeah, those are kind of questions I have for you guys. So I'll hold off on that. But yeah, that's why I never saw a Fast and Furious movie, I guess.
So I don't know what a normal number is in a summer, but here's the movies that made $100 million in summer 2001. Or summer 2001 releases that made $100 million eventually, whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
So from the bottom up, Dr. Dolittle 2, which I know that you were probably all about.
I saw that.
Dolittle 2.
I saw it 4 times. Yeah.
American Pie 2. So
Okay.
again, whatever. But
I did see that in the theater. Yeah.
Okay, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which is big. I saw that one in the theaters, I think.
I did not.
Then The Fast and the Furious. Then
Yep.
Planet of the Apes.
Okay. Yep.
Jurassic Park 3.
Yep.
Pearl Harbor. Rush Hour 2. The Mummy Returns. And
Yeah.
Shrek. So, like, they're kind of all over the place. But there's
That's
a lot.
interesting.
There's a lot of, like, pretty good, like, for 10 movies to make $100 million, that's not bad.
Yeah, and it's funny because the movies that I think of, like Jurassic Park 3, I went to the premiere of in New York City, and like met William H. Macy. That was pretty cool. The ones that I stick out to me as like the big ones that I loved that year were Moulin Rouge was that summer.
Okay.
Okay.
And AI was that. So I'm a big fan of AI.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Legally
controversial.
Blonde also that summer. A
Yeah.
Knight's Tale that summer. The
Knight's
Others
Tale.
that summer.
Yeah.
Swordfish. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of movies that didn't make $100 million, but, like,
Swordfish.
we're
There
good.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, I just looked up 2019, the last non-pandemic summer, and there were only 11 movies that made $100 million, and that's with inflation, right? So, like, for 10 to make $100 million in 2001, kind of a big deal, right? So,
Yeah.
the only character that carries over from the first movie to this movie is Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor. They wanted Vin Diesel back, and he said, no, I'm going to go make Riddick. They offered him like $50 million, something like that. He's just like, no, I'm going to turn this down. He eventually comes back at the end of 3 for a cameo. Then from 4 on, he's in every movie. But for a franchise that is basically... Were you surprised that this movie did not have Vin Diesel in it?
No, I knew it didn't. I knew the Vin Diesel sort of saga. I know he comes back and like as a cameo at the end of Tokyo Drift, and I knew about him not coming back for the sequel. So I knew when you said watch this one, I was like, okay, it's the non-Vin Diesel one, so I'm gonna have to rely on the overwhelming charisma of Paul Walker and Tyrese. Yeah, no, that was not a surprise to me. I knew he wasn't there.
Gotcha. Okay. I do want to find out either now or later which Fast and Furious character you are. We have a personality quiz we might have teased when we were last on that we did not do. I just looked up and we did not do it for you. So do you want to know now or do you want to know at the end of the episode? We have 25 different outcomes, and I think maybe, Joe, how many are in the quiz from this movie? Probably 3?
Yeah.
Brian, Tej, Roman? Is there another one?
I think there might be a Suki.
Oh, there might be a Suki. John, you want to see who you are now, or do you want to know at the end of the episode?
Oh, let's save it to the end.
Okay, cool. Because we normally have this whole like big ramp up. We're like, what's your history? Like, oh, I've seen every one of the theaters. Here's my rankings. But, for you, just like, all right, we'll get into it.
It's kind of amazing. I really enjoy that you started with this one. Like, it's something that I would have never thought to try. So, like, it's a pretty fun thought experiment for us. Because, I mean, like, we brought people in at different places. And, like...
Yeah. I don't recommend it.
But, like, okay, personal thoughts about the movie aside,
Mm-hmm.
I know the answer to this question is no. But did you ever feel lost in this movie in terms of, like, I can't follow what's going on? Because, like, at one point they're like, here, Brian, you did this whole thing in California or whatever. Like, that's, like, they reference it, but, like, you don't really need to know. But, like, was there any point in this movie where, like, I wish to any extent that you had seen the first movie first?
In that, no. In terms of, like, who Brian is and what's going on there, no. In terms of, like, this movie doesn't make any goddamn sense, yes. Constantly.
But seeing the first one wouldn't have helped that.
Right. No, I got it. He was
Yeah.
he was a cop, and then he joined the street racers, and then he was like, I'm gonna be that street racer life, and I'm gonna move cities, and whatever. Harry from Dexter finds him, and I don't know, sure. And then he is kind of a cop again, and yeah, I get it.
There is also, in addition to the first movie, there is a 6-minute short called The Turbocharged Prelude to Too Fast that before this movie came out, they re-released the first movie with, I think, like movie cash and this 6-minute prequel where
Yes.
he drives. There's no words. There's no dialogue. It just drives. It's the most terrible temp music that you've ever heard. And he drives from California to Miami, and he meets Minka Kelly along the way, playing the iconic role of Girl. No name, just Girl. And she helps him escape the police, and he gets to Miami. And so people are like, how did I get there? So like, it would
Essential. That's essential knowledge.
I should have had you watch that too.
That.
It's like,
yeah.
Here's all you need to know. Here's the prequel. Here's the ramp up. That
I
you
did
need.
spend the whole movie being like, but how did he get to Miami? Did he take a plane? Did he drive? Okay,
he drove.
So now I know. That's, wow.
He drove
Really
a car that
sheds
you
a lot
didn't
of
see
light.
him have
Yeah.
in the first one or this one.
Okay.
Oh no, is it this? I think yeah, but no, it's like a convertible. I think it's just like a completely separate car that we never see him drive again.
Now, did he drive fast and furiously the entire time, or did he drive as a normal person would drive?
I would say he drove fast. I don't know that there's any evidence that he really drove furiously. Maybe
Okay.
some. There's more evidence that he drove fast than furious.
Yes,
Interesting.
true.
Got it.
There's also a lot of like Indiana Jones style like map, like following a line on a map.
Yes. There's a lot of.
Oh, see, that would have sold me. I'm a sucker for that.
I mean, we could take it. No, I don't want to take a break and watch it. Have you watch this thing because it's really not worth seeing. Like
It's just like a lot of maps of Alabama and Texas, though.
Let's just pretend that happened. Oh my god, that was so good. Wow.
beautiful. So, what were your big? I mean, knowing what this movie is and what it's trying to be, what were your big issues with this? You also pointed out at one point, you're like, I can't believe John Singleton directed this movie.
Okay, guys.
Yes.
This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. And, like...
That can't be true.
I am not exaggerating even a tiny bit.
I can't possibly be true.
I cannot believe this movie was in theaters and that grown-ups approved its release to an audience. This movie is shockingly bad. And like, in a way, so, all right, one of my favorite bad movie ever, because I absolutely love it, is Triple X with Vin Diesel, right?
Which we have not done yet, but wink, wink, we might do it next lap.
All right, I gotta be on that, because I'm a huge, like, I will talk about that movie forever. I love that movie, right? This movie is Triple X in terms of how objectively terrible it is, and just how absurd, like, it's written by, like, a 5-year-old, except...
Have you seen that?
What?
There was a Today Now when The Onion did this videos. Were interviewing the screenwriter of Fast 5, and it was a 5-year-old. He's like, cargo boom, cargo fast.
You're like, whoom, and then the car go, and he just, like, makes noises.
The difference here is that, like, Triple X is hilarious in the way that it lands, and nothing in this movie... there's just zero in this movie that hit me in any way. Entertainment-wise, comedy-wise, nothing. I was, by 50 minutes in, I was just begging for it to be over. I just wanted it to end. I was like, this is killing me. And I say this, like, again, I'm not saying it's the worst movie ever made. I don't tend to watch bad movies, right? Like, I read a lot of critics, and I tend to trust what critics say, and I don't go into movies that I know are going to be bad. I'm judging from a fairly shallow pool here in terms of, like, the bad movies that I've seen in my life. Like, I've seen The Love Guru, and that was better than this, right? Like, and if John Singleton really directed this movie, he called in sick every day. There is no fucking way that John Singleton, who directed Boys in the Hood, directed this movie. Like, I don't understand what the fuck is happening here and how this movie exists. I really don't. Like, I still am not quite sure that the movie that I watched was the actual Too Fast, Too Furious that other people have seen, because, like, it blows my mind. It's just baffling to me that anybody... And, like, okay, I'll stop there. That's how I feel, right? I hated this movie with a unusual venom, and I'll explain
if you will
why I'm
allow
wrong.
me,
Yeah.
I'd like to read something to you.
Okay.
John Singleton's Too Fast, Too Furious tells a story so shamelessly preposterous, all we can do is shake our heads in disbelief.
Yeah.
Consider that the big climax involves a Miami drug lord who hires 2 street racers to pick up bags full of money in North Beach and deliver them in the Keys, and adds, you make it, I'll personally hand you 100 G's to the finish line. Mm-hmm. Hell, for 10 G's, I'd rent a van at the Aventura Mall and deliver the goods myself. But this is not an ordinary delivery, blah, 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 complain. Next paragraph. Does it sound like I'm complaining? I'm not complaining. I'm grinning. Too Fast, Too Furious is a video game cross with a buddy movie, a bad cop, good cop movie, a Miami drug lord movie, a chase movie, and a comedy. It doesn't have a brain in its head, but it's made with skill and style, and boy, is it fast and furious.
Yeah,
Written
I read that
by
review.
your
I
hero,
know.
Roger Ebert.
I know.
3 stars.
I know. I read that review. I sometimes disagree with Roger Ebert. I agree with the movie that he's describing. I do not agree with the idea that any of that works or that it's in any way entertaining, right? All of those things are true about what that movie is. The problem that I have with this movie, and I feel like, and I this is why I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about it, because I feel like this is how the franchise gets better. What doesn't work for this movie for me is that none of the absurdity in the movie is leaned into, right? It's just all bad. It's a movie that it totally doesn't make any sense, and nobody seems to really be playing up how absurd and bad it is. I get the impression that, and I don't know if this is true, but this is basically just what I get from sort of the background radiation, right, of the Fast series. I get the impression that like that's what starts happening. That's what makes the movies better. Is that they start leaning into the absurdity of it all and really sort of like embracing that sort of over the topness that I feel like this movie just never achieves. Nothing about it's over the top. All of it's bad. The action's bad. The drive choreography is bad. Like the cinematography is bad. All of it's bad. It's not like so absurd that it's good. It's just absurd and also terrible. And I tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't know if it leans into it. They definitely get more absurd, but I think up until about 9, they never really like wink at you as an audience member, like, hey, this is really wacky, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like they're still serious. Like there's like one part of 9 that's like, okay, like look, we did the fucking thing. We know that this is absurd. Ha ha ha. Everybody laugh. But like for the most part, they do get crazier. Like the stunts get crazier. It gets more absurd. But I don't know if they're leaning into it, so to speak. Joey, what do you think?
Well, when I was watching this last night, I was thinking about... Okay, so John, there's a real hard line in the sand where the first 3 movies are essentially car movies, 4 is kind of a pivot point, and then 5 on are action movies.
Yes, that's true.
You might have seen from like Super Bowl ads or just like being aware in the world and on the internet that like in 7 they jump on a supercar from not one building to 2, but from one building to another to 3 different buildings. They're dragging us safe through the streets of Rio. They're going to outer space. They're doing all sorts of stuff in these movies that somehow both seem believable in the world of the movie and also completely illogical if you think about it at all.
Yeah.
But there is something special in a way about these movies, about this movie in particular, that as I was watching last night, I'm like, there's such great heights, both silly and serious, that they reach as these movies go on, that to see like just sort of practical, not super flashy car stunts make this feel unique in a way that maybe it might just be Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know.
Grounded? But like, they feel more grounded.
It feels different and better, yeah, in a grounded way, in a realistic way than the other movies. And again, I don't like this movie more than any other Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
But like Brian and Roman just racing down the highway, him going in reverse, or just like them driving down Alligator, like wherever they are, it's not CGI where Dom is flying across things and catching people in midair or whatever. It's like, these are people, whether it's Paul Walker and Tyrese, or they're stunt doubles, or just stunt drivers or whoever, doing things, and like, they're not as spectacular or as cool or as well executed as they are in future movies, but there's something grounded about them, to use the word Joe said, that make them feel cool. And it's like, all right, that's something. It might not be the best thing, but that's something.
Yeah. My big complaint is that nothing the movie went for far enough that that's the thing that sticks out to me as like the good thing. I will say that there's a certain kind of like weird vanilla charm about Paul Walker that I actually felt really sad for everybody involved with this movie. Like the whole time I just like felt bad for people for being in it. But like there's something weird about like Paul Walker and his like white socks and his like weird t-shirts that I'm just like, I don't know. There's some kind of weird appeal to that, right? I don't know what it is. And like Tyrese is obviously a very sort of charming character. I hated Ludacris in this. And I love Ludacris, but like I just hated the character. The whole like thing, like Suki's just super annoying. The whole thing just doesn't make. It's so weird and just it's so like at you. And there's entire scenes in this that just don't need to exist at all, like shots that are just there as though someone forgot to edit them out, and like transitions to things that don't need to be there. And it's so weird. Like it feels such a lazy, like 9 different people sort of had the final cut of this movie, and like all of them use the least good take every single time. It's just so weird, Joey. Like I don't understand what happened here.
Part of a backstory is that on the set of this movie, Tyrese and Paul Walker became very good friends. And I have a theory that, like, there's very clear scenes where they're just, like, hungover from the night before.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes. I agree.
And it's, like, distinct. Like, there's distinct chops of, like, some scenes are, like, they showed up to work that day, and then, like, some scenes, like, they were late and hungover, and they just, like, mailed it in. And, like, you can see, like, the line of exactly when it happens when you watch this movie as many times as we have. To me, I don't have any evidence that that's exactly what happened, but you see them like slur a line. They just don't care. There's like ADR in weird places that you're like, why wouldn't you just reshoot that take, like one little take or whatever. But yeah, so I think that plays into it. But now for me, that's part of the charm of it, because this seems like the most lackadaisical Fast and the Furious that we get. Like everybody on set was just like whatever the fuck they wanted to do was happening. That's how this movie went, and I really like the rawness of that feel, that it was just like, and you could see how much like they enjoy each other too. I think that even you would say like the chemistry between Paul Walker and Roman, like they seem like they're actually friends. Right? Yeah,
and it's interesting because it seems like they're not, like it seems like the chemistry actually is a reflection, or is sort of reflected in their, what I didn't know about this, but like their personal chemistry, because there are certain scenes where they just don't seem like they like each other, and certain scenes where they do, and it seems like that as they became real friends in real life, that sort of worked its way into the movie. And I kind of now I'm sort of retroactively kind of thinking through the movie itself and seeing how that plays out, which that's actually really interesting. And like, yeah, I like that stuff. And I think this is such a like weirdly lo-fi, like it reminds me of like Cinemax movies from the mid-90s. Like it's so cheap looking and so like weirdly lo-fi, and just so I can't tell if most of the lines are improvised or if like, because like when Tyrese is talking, I'm like, there's no way someone wrote this for him to say. And then I'm also like, but there's also no way anybody would think to say this off the top of their head. So I really don't know exactly what's going on here, right? It's all, I don't know. It's weird. The things that like really drove me nuts is when the bad writing tried to sort of force a chemistry between the two of them, where they're like just saying weird movie lines at each other, and it doesn't make any sense for the moment, and it's not how human beings talk. And I'm just like, why? He's like, we got one more up our sleeve, bro. And it's like, yeah, check out this. And I'm like, you wouldn't say that in this situation. You're like driving away from cops and you're about to die. Like, stop. It is not even funny or witty or interesting. It's just like, it's like a stock line that you picked out of a barrel of like free wiki lines you can use in a movie for free. It's so weird. It's so weird. I'm sorry. This is a very weird movie, guys. Why do they make more of these movies? Why after this? This is what I want to know. Why after this movie were they like, let's make more of those? Because I don't fucking
And even stranger, the next movie has none of these characters in it.
None.
Right. Zero crossover.
I get it. I know that. Yeah.
It's completely separated. Yeah. Like there's nothing. It has nothing to do with anything that happens in this universe. None of the people, and that's the third one.
It's so weird.
So I think what's weird, and we've talked about this a long time ago, and we don't have an answer because it's just hypothesizing an alternate universe. But like, if Tokyo Drift is a cult classic, but at the time, people hated it. They're like, I don't know who these characters are. It's a weird movie. I don't like it.
Right,
But
I
it
knew
was-
that, yeah.
But they got Vin Diesel back for the end, and because he was like, I'll make another one, they do another, like, a real movie. So the fourth movie, just Fast and Furious, tagline is new model, original parts. It's like, we're going back to the basics. It's the characters you know. It's essentially the same story as the first one to a certain extent, but, like, an evolution. It kind of resets and simplifies a lot of things.
There's one character that people like that goes away, and they're
Yes.
like, whoops.
So then Tokyo
Is that
Drift.
Han? Is that who
Yes,
we're talking about?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Han dies in Tokyo Drift,
But not really.
but then they retrofit it so that Tokyo Drift actually comes after 6, so that they can have Han in 4, 5, and 6. And so he dies after that, but if you're just existing in the world, you know that Han's in 9. And so he's not actually dead, so they've unkilled him twice.
Awesome.
So the weird thing, so they make Tokyo Drift. I think there is a version of this franchise. This is what I was saying before. There's a version of this franchise where, like, every installment is just a complete new batch of characters in a new part of the world, and they're not like billion-dollar movies, but they make enough money to keep making them. That they go to Japan, and Vin Diesel doesn't come back, and they go to, like, the Dominican Republic, they go to Russia, whatever, and it's just like car culture in a different place. Like, that, I can see that as a viable thing where, like, we wouldn't have this podcast because it wouldn't be as popular. But, like, there could be 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12. Who knows how many of them? But they get Vin Diesel back, and they're like, all right, let's do this. And 4 is pretty good. And then they make what I think is pretty universally acclaimed as the best, objectively, and, like, fan favorite, like, all of our rankings. Like, 5 is the best movie in the franchise. And from there, they're just off to the races. And they become, like, some of the best action movies of the decade. To answer your question, I don't know why they made one after this movie. I genuinely have no idea why they made a movie after this, because it doesn't make any sense.
Right. I'm interested to know. No, so in my kind of research in reading some reviews after I watched it and sort of figuring out where this fits within the kind of the fan opinion or critical opinion. So I get the idea that either this or Tokyo Drift are sort of universally considered to be the worst. Then it seems like 4 is actually also on that list, right? And then it's like,
Yep.
So that's weird to me. Is that, like, you get 1, which was sort of critically lukewarm, but I know had, like, a cult following. I just don't understand how you then get all the way. And I get that 5 is sort of the pivot moment, and the one that all fans are like, that's where it all kind of comes together, and that's sort of the universally agreed upon great best one. But, like, how did you get to 5?
I don't know. I think
okay.
so. Here's one thing. So the first movie is directed by Rob Cohen. As we talked about, this one's directed by John Singleton, and then Justin Lin does 3 through 6. And so I think having one hand to not only define what the franchise looks and feels like, but actually just continue a story that he starts, I think helps.
Okay.
Even if it's not the same characters really from 3 to 4, like some of those characters come back in different ways, but, like, it's not bringing in somebody and teaching them all the new tools. It's just like, here, you know what's going on, go make another movie.
Where does Paul Walker die in this lineage? Like, what movie is
While
he?
making 7.
Okay.
And that's one thing that, like, you were saying that, like, you like his weird kind of charm. Like, the one true bit of growth, not for characters, but for actors, is over the course of the franchise, you see him become a better actor. Because he's not good in this movie. He's not good in the first movie. But, like, either he settles into the role or something, but, like, he's a much different performer by the end of his life than he is at this point. And, like, it's, I think, indisputably, like, I don't know if impressive is the right word, but, like, it's noticeable and, like, kind of commendable.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the one thing that, like, again, like, I'm torn because watching this movie made me never want to watch any other movie in the franchise ever again. And at the same time, I'm also like, but I also, like, I know there's these other movies out there, and, like, somehow they got good enough to get to, like, right? And I kind of now want to know how the fuck that happened. Or if I just don't get it, and that you know, it's just not. I don't know.
No, I think you. I think that there is a high likelihood that you would come around, and I'm actually curious now, Joey. Do you think that John would love Tokyo Drift? Because I really feel like he would.
I don't. So the question
I don't
have
know,
is, I don't
but I feel
know.
like you would.
I don't know which movie to have you watch next. Like, do you just jump to the good one? Like, going to Tokyo Drift kind of makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense. Or do you go to 4? I think the next one you should watch is 4.
That sounds so weird. I really like this
does.
experiment. It sounds so weird. but that's it. It's
but
a
like
good
chronologically,
choice.
it's next.
That's true.
And
Right.
You at least get Vin Diesel back. You get Jordana Brewster back. You get Michelle Rodriguez back. You get a very simplified, streamlined story that resets things and is
Wait, but should I go back and see one?
I think you end with one.
Oh. Okay.
I would have suggested 7 next, because then you would get like a nice taste, but you don't get like the good ones, right? So you'd be like, oh, okay, I can see the day, and it would be very confusing how they got, like, if you bookend like 2 and you'd be like, what the fuck happened
just
in
watch
between here?
The Rock and Jason Statham one instead, and
because so realistically, the ones you could watch first, they might not make all the sense, but I think the first 5 all have merits for being watched first. And then I think maybe we've talked about this before, but Hobbs and Shaw for sure, and then
Can be standalone,
maybe 9, maybe, but 6, 7, 8 would be tough to watch first, because by that point there's so much like world building, and they're just like, here's Tej, you know Tej, you're like, not really. It's like, okay, he's a hacker. It's like, well, I still don't know who he is. It's like, that's all you get to know. He's just a hacker. He's also a super spy. But like, more than half these movies you could watch first. Like the first one I ever saw was 5. If you want to just be like real weird about it, do Joe's 7. I think the one that makes sort of...
You gotta save them, because you gotta watch them with us now at this point. Like, I'm sorry, but like, like I need direct takes on all of these, because it's weird, but I'm glad that you have like a little bit of budding curiosity there. Like, how did these movies make $1 billion now, right? Like,
so here's the other way we could do it, Joe. We could go, because we've gotten rankings from about 50 people. We could just have him watch from the worst
up
to the best.
Oh, that's a good idea. I really like that.
Even though Too Fast is not the worst, I would say like lower than Too Fast in terms of averages.
What are the average rankings? Do you have them?
Yeah, so tied for last are Fate and Hobbs, and then number 4, and then Too Fast, and then F9.
9 you kind of gotta save, yeah.
I think you do 4 next. I think that's my serious one. You do 4 next. Okay. If you want to just get real weird with it, do 7 or 8 next, because you'd be like, what the fuck? What? No.
I don't think I want to get. I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I want to watch them
really
too much out
miss
of order.
Anything.
I know. I
think 4 makes the most sense, because when we do them in order, when we release them, we go 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3. Like we do them with 3 later. So I think it makes sense to kind of skip 3.
Yeah.
Because if you watch 3 next, you're gonna just still be like, I don't know what's going. Like I don't know why this continues.
3's not gonna help. Yeah, it's not gonna help.
It's gonna be like a different version of the same experience you just had.
Okay.
But here's a question that you can probably give an answer to. So all lap long, in between these Fast and Furious movies, we're watching heist movies. And so for each movie, both the main Fast and Furious movies, but also the heist movies, Joe and I, on our guest, when we have a guest, are nominating a character from that movie to join a heist team that we are building all lap long. Okay. So in the first movie, I nominated Michelle Rodriguez's character, Letty, who won. The patrons, our patrons on patreon.com, chose her. Joe and Jordan, Jordan Poole and Clark, both nominated characters that you don't know because they barely come back. One character dies and one's just in a couple scenes. So then last episode, our pit stop, we did Heat, and I forgot to put it up. We only had it open for a day, so we only got 5 votes, but Joe ever so slightly edging out the winner by 1 vote, 3-2. Chris Shaherlis, Val Kilmer's character in Heat, makes the team choice by 1 vote.
I still take Robert De Niro personally, but I think they both have a valid argument. I agree.
In Too Fast, Too Furious, John, if you were building a heist team, if you were like, I need to find somebody to pick a character from this movie who's going to fill a role, you don't have to really necessarily describe or define the role now, but if you're building on a heist team to take down some score, which character from this movie would you want to recruit to be on that team?
No, it's easy. It's the Eva Mendes character.
Monica Fuentes. Why pick her?
Because she's sneaky and she hid from the guys on the boat successfully from so she didn't get caught.
True, very very true.
So she's good. She's a good little what do you call it there? Sleuth? Not a sleuth. What do you call it? Someone who's like
the sneaky inside man.
Yeah.
What did you think of her performance overall in this movie, Eva Mendes?
She was the closest thing to a recognizable human being anywhere in this cast.
That's fair.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah,
That's all. I was just clinging on to her because nothing else, like nobody else in this movie acted anything like a human being, and like I that's about as close as I got to connecting to any single character. Before we go any further, can I just gripe about two more things that I just have to get off my chest? Okay, the nightclub scene.
Yes.
What the fuck is happening? Like, okay.
Well, just imagine. So we're also like we're doing the movies minute by minute. Like we did the whole first movie. We're in the middle of the second movie. So
We're
for the
at
last
this
month
scene.
and for the next month, we're in the nightclub scene. So we were trapped in this 8 minutes of purgatory where we are in the Pearl. But yes, please go on.
Before we even get to the rat thing, which I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
The actual way it's filmed. This is a nightclub that is lit like a boardroom.
Cafeteria.
It's like like a cafeteria. It is the least interesting nightclub and everybody is dancing to a different song. If you look at the people like dancing in the background, they're all bored as hell. It is the most orderly nightclub in the history of the universe. Like everybody stays in their spot the entire time, and they're all dancing to very clearly different genres of music as that is all happening. And I'm just like that's the sort of thing. I'm like, how this is the sort of thing you do literally in a very low budget like direct to video movie. Maybe not even that. You just like cut the nightclub scene. Honestly, as far as that, but, like I'm like, this does not belong in a big budget major motion picture release. All right, there's that. Okay.
So the nightclub was real, by the way. They just like rented an existing nightclub. So like that.
Shut up.
Wait, Joe, what is it now? Like a Quiznos? Oh, no, it's not a Quiznos. What did you say?
No, Haagen-Dazs. It's a Haagen-Dazs. Yes, sorry. Now it's a Haagen-Dazs. But that was a real nightclub, and like the top of it had like AstroTurf, like outside on like the roof. But like it existed and looked like they didn't like tone it up for anything. Like
I would assume though that they wouldn't use bright lighting when they actually had like.
I'm guessing not. That's probably like the closeout lighting when you clean up the nightclub at the end. But everything else, the bar, the chandelier, everything was there. They just came into a nightclub that existed in Miami.
Okay, so my biggest gripe, like the thing that I assumed that at least in this movie, even though I knew it was bad, that I would get like good car action and good like race scenes, and I don't. So, first of all, as I said to Joey, when the movie starts, why does nobody else live in that city? And why is it that like the cops only show up at the very end? And where are they getting all these signs from that they can just close off? It's so weird. Unless you're directly involved with that race, apparently nobody else lives anywhere close or nearby. Like nobody's out grocery shopping or anything else.
They're in downtown Miami.
Nuts. Okay, so that drove me insane. And then
they're like right next to like American Airlines. They pass American Airlines Arena as they're they're in firmly downtown Miami.
So the race stuff isn't even good. The car choreography isn't even good. What is the thing where like Tyrese goes into like hyperspace at some point? Like what is that? What's going on there? Do you know what I'm talking about? There's this scene where like what the hell?
Well, he hits the nos. Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is that
yes.
Okay, great.
Nos is a real thing. You don't go into hyperspace.
No, I mean in the movies, do we get more hyperspace scenes where the colors start like losing?
Kind of.
Okay, fine.
There was some in the previous one, and there's some in the future ones. Like, that's kind of it's like this is like when you hit the nos, your car starts having trails like like hallucination trails.
That's amazing. I guess if I'd seen it in the first movie, I'd been like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is this choice?
Yes.
Here's my biggest gripe, right? So again, if I wanted to see, I would have rather watched the car chase from Ronin for an hour and 40 minutes, right? If I want cool car action, I did not get it here, and that's really disappointing. The place where I was like mind blown about how absolutely fucking stupid it was the climactic scene when all the cars come out of the garages to like confuse the police, and there's the aerial shots that literally look like a mall parking lot on Christmas Eve. I'm like, what? How is this exciting? all this is cars moving very slowly in circles around each other, and I'm supposed to be thrilled by this. I don't, like, nothing about this is in any way exciting to me. And then during the big cop chase, it's very clear that Tyrese and Paul Walker are driving like 20 miles an hour most of the time. And I'm just like, what is this? I'm not thrilled. There's nothing about this that is like, because, you know, car chases and car scenes are supposed to, like, you feel the adrenaline and the thrill of it, right? And I get zero of that at any point during this movie. And the movie could have been, I would have forgiven all of the absurd dialogue and everything else if I got that. Because in Triple X, you know what I get? I get Vin Diesel jumping for no reason a motorcycle out of a prison camp, and while he's jumping the motorcycle, punching out a guard on a watchtower, and then turning the motorcycle sideways so that he can fit between the two layers of barbed wire in order to escape the motorcycle in slow motion from 3 different angles. And I'm like, that is how you make a bad fucking movie. This is lazy nonsense, and nothing about it is interesting, and the cars suck, and it's
No, I don't think we've ever really talked about it, but I think that specifically car race-wise, we do get better ones in 1 and 3.
Okay.
You bring up a valid point. I think that this is the lowest bar of racing scenes.
I think people don't like 3 at the time because they didn't understand what it was doing. And then now it's become a cult favorite. Like, it's got a lower rating on our thing, but like people seem to like, people either get it or they don't. And I feel like the real Fast and Furious fans love 3 pretty.
But I think the racing parts are like,
yeah, I think the movie does things well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the only thing that, like, the drawback people have is that, like, the main actor Lucas Black is like 30 playing a high schooler. So I think that's like what people point out. They're like, it's not great. But to Joe's point, the racing in that is great. The racing, the first one's great. The racing, a lot of them are pretty good. This just doesn't exactly work in that regard, which is kind of remarkable considering this is one of the quote unquote car movies as opposed to an action movie.
Right.
It's a John Singleton thing specifically in this is how he shoots the races, because as we're breaking them down minute by minute, I'm noticing a lot of differences, that there's like a lot of their facial expressions in the car as opposed to both Rob Cohen, Justin Lin. They like to show you a lot of like pedal, gear shift, side of car, eyes quickly, but it's mostly like the actions of them like speedometer, gear shift, pedal. Like, it's a lot more of that than we see with John Singleton.
That's good to know. Okay.
If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
look, I 100%, like, everything you're saying, I'm like, yeah, that's what drove me nuts, is that I don't care what their facial expression is. Like, I'm not interested. It's not like...
Yeah, because it doesn't convey speed really well. Like, I think he does a good job with, like, the neon lighting and, like, you know, driving past stuff. Like, that does pretty decent. But, like, just, like, looking at Brian's face the whole time while he's in the car, or hearing what he's saying when they're having a conversation that they can't be having between two cars while they're both racing in separate cars, is, like... If you separate that out, yeah, I can see why you're like, oh, these aren't the great chases.
Yeah, nobody should say, like, you know what's interesting about this car chase scene? The face of a white guy named Brian. Like, that's not something that any director should ever conclude. Speaking
of white guys named Brian, Joe, who would you recruit for your heist team from this movie?
Okay, so I had a hard time with this one because I don't think that there's actually a lot of great candidates, so I had to go back and forth a bunch.
Is it safe to say this is our most incompetent as a whole bunch of characters?
I think so. I think that for the heist team, I think that we have a very, very low bar here. So I had to go with someone with some extracurriculars, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I took Tej from this heist team because I think his networking abilities is something that you can't lose. Like, if you're that much of an extrovert, no matter where we place him, he will not befriend a bunch of people. And I think just knowing people around based on, like, how he's conducting stuff in Miami is a valuable asset to have. Like, later on we see, you know, he still has connections to get stuff that we might need and stuff like that later. So, like, I think that does play well. Maybe he doesn't have all of his skills that we get later here, but I think that based on, like, the networking aspect alone, and huge detraction. He's not driving here, right?
Well, because at this point in his life, he doesn't drive because he hit a wall doing a $1.20, right? So like,
yeah, exactly. So like, that's a huge detraction. But I think that's still based solely on the like, you know, if you were like, hey, we're in this place, can we get like one of these things? He'd be like, I know a guy. I met him at the bar last night. You know what I mean? Like that. And I think that that's kind of the place and space that I have for him in the team right now.
Cool. Yeah,
This is ludicrous we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
My pick is someone, realistically, I would have gone with Monica Fuentes. I think she's the one. I'm not exactly sure
Her
if I
skills
want
are
to
good.
be picking cops, even though she's kind of like a murky cop, whatever. But who I'm going with Jimmy, MC Jin. He is the Asian dude in the crew.
Yes.
John.
Oh, I love him. I was gonna say, yeah, I like that guy.
So
yeah.
he's like a rapper in real life. He's like a performer, whatever.
Yeah.
So again, what I said before, not a lot of great options here.
No, definitely
At
not.
some point on the heist team, it's going to be good to have a mechanic. And I know that like later on, if we have DOMs, if we have whoever, everybody's going to be a mechanic of some kind. But I don't know that I want to waste, it's the same thing that like when we had the argument in the first episode, Joe, where you're like, Dom could keep Vince in line. And Jordan was like, but do you want him to worry about keeping Vince in line? Like, I don't want Dom under the hood of a car. I want Dom doing things that Dom needs to do. So I think having a mechanic on staff will be good.
That's a pretty valid argument. I like
think
that.
he can be the entertainment. He can rap. He can do whatever.
Yeah.
And
seems like a fun guy. He's like to the opposite of you guys being like Vince could be like a locker room cancer. Jimmy seems like a guy that like everybody's gonna get along with.
Yep.
That like he'll play cards. He'll work on the cars. He can rap a little bit. Like he'll bring up the mood.
And
if
we end the lap with 20 characters and he's one of the 20 and we're building a team of 10, there's almost no way he makes that team of 10.
No.
From this movie, in terms of the people who like would be interested in performing a heist, I think Jimmy is the best option. He's the best of a bunch of bad options. So I'm going to go with Jimmy as played by MC Jin. So, I have Jimmy, Joe has Tej, and John has Monica Fuentes.
Yeah, I think that's a solid lineup. I have in my head when I was trying to pick who I was going to take, all three of these came up.
I mean, it's not Brian. It's not Roman.
I think you could make like a case for Roman based on his like driving, but he's so like raw and like unnatural, like John was saying, that like I don't know if I want this Roman specifically. Not that he gets like better, but I think he gets like a little bit better skills wise. So I'm like,
Because like even in 5, John, they have like a Ocean's 11 style, like we gotta, we need this guy, we need this guy, we need this guy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like they get Roman because he's the chameleon. He can blend and he can do whatever.
No, Han is the chameleon.
Oh, Han's the chameleon. No, Roman's the fast talker. Sorry, Roman's the fast talker. He can sweet talk anybody. Which like yes, but they send him to do the one time in the movie. They're like, go do this thing, and he fails at it. So like they hire him for a job that he does not perform. So that's maybe the most competent version of Roman in a way, and he still is bad at what he does. So I don't know. Yeah, this is maybe the Roman you pick, but also I don't think Roman's ever going to make the team. Sorry to Roman, we love you, but
My choice B, because I spent a lot of time feeling bad for him in the beginning of the movie, was the guy who can't pay his rent now because he lost the race.
Oh,
and
yes.
Like, yeah.
Slapjack.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I felt bad for him. So
yeah. And plus his girlfriend's like beating on him and everything, right? So
yeah.
Don't gamble with money you can't afford to lose, man. That's rule number one.
I guess. Yeah. Or just learn to drive better. I don't know.
John, did you have any other thought? Oh, here's a point. So we talked about this before, but in that race, there's the bridge jumping scene, right? And Suki knows that she's not going to win the race, yet she still jumps over the bridge, successfully makes it over the bridge, but effectively kind of totals her car. Like she's going to need a couple $1,000s in damage, repairs, right? So we're trying to get some kind of answer other than like the bragging rights of, hey, I made that jump. Do you have any reason why you think Suki would do that jump knowing she can't win the money and she's only going to cost herself more money in the long run?
I don't know, man. Suki is a wild card. That's all I got to say. It's
true.
Unpredictable, that's Suki.
I mean, I feel bad that none of us picked Suki for this, but also like we just don't know enough about Suki. Like she draws, she hangs out in bikinis.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, no idea.
Was there anything about this movie that you did like genuinely found enjoyable?
No. I'm trying to think. I'm like, no, there isn't. I think what Joe and I kind of talked about, sort of seeing the friendship between Paul Walker and Tyrese emerge, is kind of charming and sweet. And the only thing that to me is absurd that lands is like how white Paul Walker is in this like very not white world. And I don't even know if that's like intentional, that's funny, but like that I find entertaining because I'm just like, this dude is the whitest guy on earth and is in this movie where he's clearly the odd duck in this movie.
And this is, not to be crass or put it bluntly, but like this is the Black Fast and Furious. It's the only black director they ever had.
Yeah.
They introduced the 2 longest running black characters. Like this is by and large the Black Fast and Furious. And so Brian, even just like in a normal movie, would be awkward and out of place. Even more awkward, even more out of place here, right? It's just like, ooh.
Yeah, I didn't even like James Remar in this movie, and I like James Remar a lot, so that,
If you want to hear me and John talk about James Remar, head into the depths of CageClub.me's back folders that are not really public to find all of our episodes of Sports for Starters where we talked about Dexter every week for no reason, really.
Did we talk about Dexter a lot? I don't even remember.
We talked about Dexter all the time because it was in the bad seasons, and we're just like, we hate this show. We got to talk about it somewhere.
It wasn't during it. Okay. I wasn't during Trinity that we were. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It was.
I don't remember. However old, whenever Teddy was born, whatever season that was on.
Time is a flat circle. I don't know.
Do you have any other notes about this movie or no?
Me?
You.
No, except like genuinely the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Like I again, like there's something profound about that because you needed someone to talk to today, I gave up 21 years of not watching these movies. It was
fell off the wagon, man. You fell off the wagon.
It was my cool party fact that I no longer have. Where
it's gonna be even funnier.
Have you ever said at a party? I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie.
No, but I certainly have in like social settings where people.
Well, now you can say, like Joe's saying, it's even funnier.
I've only seen the second one.
I've only seen Too Fast.
People are gonna be like, "What the fuck? Like how?" Like it's a long story.
I waited 19 years to watch Too Fast, and that's the only one that I've seen. Yeah,
people are gonna be. I think it's even better. I think people are because like you could be like, "Oh yeah, I haven't seen it." And you're like, "Yeah, I've seen one. Too Fast."
Yeah.
Like when it came out, you're like, "No, like 6 months ago."
The only thing that I will say that I am glad to have started here. I am now genuinely just as almost like a science experiment, curious to kind of see how this thing became the thing that it is, and the apparently wild inconsistency of the quality of these movies and like how that works. Which I mean, is that like part of the chart? Like, is that part of the appeal though?
Yeah,
is that like
100%.
they are all over the place?
1,000%.
Okay.
It's like, I always tell Rachel, like, Led Zeppelin made a song for everyone, right? Like, every genre of music.
That. Yeah.
And, like, you got some jazz, you got some classic rock. Like, you got Too Fast, you got 5, which you got The Italian Job 2, that it just happens to be dropped into the middle of the Fast and the Furious franchise for no reason. Literally.
And like John, I will say we have rankings from like 70 people, and 3 people have this as their favorite Fast and Furious movie. So like
Rachel loves it. Too Fast is like one of her favorite Fast and Furious movies. Yeah.
There is a Fast and Furious for everybody. Everybody likes them in different amounts. I have this last, but yeah. 3 people out of like the 70 people we've talked to have this as number 1. So
wild.
Crazy.
Wild. I also will say, like, one more thing. If I had never seen Triple X, I might have liked this more because this would be that level of absurd. But because I've seen Triple X, I've seen a movie that's this bad, but also incredibly entertaining.
Like, I don't think this is absurd. I think them jumping a car into a boat at the end is crazy.
This is like a very grounded Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd. What I mean absurd in like just how indulgently bad it is. Like how the dialogue doesn't make any sense. How like nobody seems like they are in the same movie. Like absurd in terms of like all of these choices.
Those things get worse too because like there is literally a movie where like Vin Diesel and The Rock are the 2 main actors in the movie and they're like not on screen together, like on set together.
But that's Vin Diesel and The Rock. It's not Paul Walker and Tyrese. Like those 2 people are interesting in some way where you could just have them do anything and it would be interesting. So I don't know.
All right, are you ready now to find out
I
which
am.
character you are?
Yes, let's do
I'm
this.
excited to find out, actually.
So there are 7 questions. There are 6 multiple choice answers per question. Just pick whatever answer most applies to you. You know, either
Or you
persona
like
you want
best.
to build or just truth, reality, whatever you want. You can explain your answers or not. And I know you well enough that I'll know if you're lying, but are you ready to find out which Fast and Furious character you are?
Yes, but real quick, I feel like I did this on the last episode, and I feel like I was Dom, but don't check because I want to do it again. So
I don't
He
know
said
that
you
you
didn't have
did.
it.
I thought I looked.
I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Pretend it didn't. Even if I did, let's go.
If you did this quiz, I didn't write you down. So we'll find out.
Great.
How fast are you? NASCAR, roller coaster, Lamborghini Murcielago, Toyota Prius, Vespa, or Razor scooter?
Oh boy. I would say Toyota Prius.
Now you know what's coming. How furious are you? The Hulk, Kylo Ren, Christian Bale in that one movie set that one time, Mel Gibson, Charlie Brown, or Jack McBrayer?
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
Boy. I think when I get furious, I'm very much the, oh, good for you, kind of furious. So I'm going to say Christian Bale on the set.
Not a lot of people say that, so that's very exciting.
It's a good answer, yeah.
That's a good answer. John, we're having a barbecue. How are you helping? Are you on the grill? Are you saying grace? Are you kicking back with a beer? Are you babysitting? Are you being the entertainment? Or are you sneaking a snack?
I am kicking back with a beer. That's my helpful contribution.
You've got time to kill. What are you doing? Are you grabbing a bite, working on your car, hanging with friends, drinking a beer again, working out, or doing some work on your computer?
Doing some work on my computer.
I'm going to say right now, with 3 questions to go, I don't think you're going to be Dom. Describe your wedding. I'm never getting married. I will not tell Courtney if you say that answer. It's just me and my partner. It's us and our families. It's a backyard country affair. Everyone I know is there. I don't remember.
It's a backyard country affair.
You just won the lottery. Congratulations. What are you buying? Your own garage, a private plane. I'm gambling it all away. My child at home. A fleet of cars, or a new life?
My child at home.
What is your drink of choice? Belgian ale, Corona, something fruity, water, whatever's cheapest, or just, Joe's getting a drink. Just give me one of whatever you're having.
I'll have one of whatever Joe's having.
You are ever so slightly one of the more popular characters with 42 points, 2 characters right behind with 41. John, you are Mr. Nobody. You are a Kurt Russell character who shows up for the first time in 7.
Oh.
People see you as a bit of a mystery, and you love it. You've got more going on than anyone realizes, but your greatest joy comes from executing a plan perfectly and leaving everyone around you wondering how you pulled it off. You're great at keeping secrets, but you're always willing to help those who can help you. You don't have family, so to speak, because letting people too close might dissipate some of your mystical aura, so you'll settle for friends, and you drive like the wind blows.
Nice. Speaking of which, at no point in this movie did anybody say the word family, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
It's a Dom thing, and he's not.
I was so disappointed. I'm like, I thought that was I thought that was the line. I thought that was like the "May the Force be with you" of the Fast and Furious movies, and I was like, nah.
I actually don't think that they say. I actually don't think we need to look up Mark's thing on it, because I think that they don't say family a ton.
Well, that's the thing. It's like people are like, oh, they say family all the time. They do Coronas all the time. It's just like, well, not really. It's just like those are the iconic images that stand out, but on a per minute basis, not really.
Yeah, this movie, John, is forget about it. That's like the line.
We ain't hungry.
Yeah, we ain't hungry. Yeah, those are the iconic lines. Yeah. Or he got bad habits. I like that one, but that's just a personal one.
Those did stand out to me. Yeah.
It is time to play this ain't no 10-second race, aka boy do we have a podcast for you.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah.
So this is where we go on twitter.com, aka the Bird app, and find any tweet from anybody who's not already listening to the show and say, hey, you should be listening to Too Fast, Too Forever. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. So before we do this episode's tweets, I'm going to review last episode when we had Jordan on. I found 2 Minutes to Late Night at 2M2LN, the internet radio music talk show, whatever. Honestly, my only film industry goal is to try and direct the Fast and Furious movie where they go back in time and plan a horseback heist to steal shit from King Philip IV or something. And we said we would watch the hell out of that movie over and over and over again. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And they did not interact with us, of course, not swing and a miss. Joe, you found Taylor Martins at JT Martins 28. Vince has one of the best character arcs in the Fast and Furious franchise for someone who is only in 2 movies. A tweet from 4 years ago. We responded, we said we unanimously, asterisk, agree that if we were starting a heist team, Vince would be our first choice. Another asterisk. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And believe it or not, Taylor Martins, who did not tweet that for 4 years ago, but still active on Twitter, did not interact, swing and a miss. Jordan found strip clubs are sad discos at sad discos SCR, quote tweeting a video of Jason Momoa teasing what to expect from his Fast 10 character. And Strip Club says, I can't wait to shock my grandkids when they get to see Fast and Furious 43. Now this thing started with a race car gang that owned a failing restaurant. And we said, hey, we should go give Toretto's Cafe 5 stars on Yelp. Hope COVID didn't kill it. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And we got a like, but not from the account. We got one from Make NASCAR Great Again, someone who follows us on Twitter. So unfortunately, 0 for 3 across the board, no points.
Damn.
John, this seems like it should be the easiest game in the world, and yet no one ever interacts with us. Like, it sometimes happens, but like it's so rare. But while Joe finds his, can you please read your tweet, who it's from, what it's quote tweeting, and then we will respond to it from our account.
Sure. Hold on one second. I got to bring it up.
So I will say, as you bring it up, is a quote tweet of the news from today from the Fast saga. Fasten your seatbelts. Fast X or Fast 10 is now in production. So that's the quote tweet that is quote tweeted in the tweet that we're responding to.
Okay, so this is from, I'm guessing Lewis, though it might be Louis. It's Louis, which is sometimes either of the two. I'm going to say it's Lewis Rabinowitz, at Lewis Rabinowitz.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, those absolutely beautiful bastards did it again. Another new naming scheme for a Fast and Furious sequel.
Which is true.
John.
They're nothing if not inconsistent.
John, in England, they're just called like Fast and Furious 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only in America that we have given them completely illogical. Like none of the naming scheme makes any sense.
No, I love the name. Like the other thing that I was disappointed about today is that for the last 19 years, Too Fast, Too Forever was just a thing I used to make fun of like the names of sequels.
No, Too Fast, Too Furious, not Too Fast, Too Forever.
No, Too Fast, Too Furious. Was the one thing I've always enjoyed about the Fast saga is how none of the titles make any goddamn sense.
Well, aside from Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, the only movie titles that people use as punchlines for the title factor alone are from this franchise.
Well, yes. I use Die Darkman Die because that one's amazing as well. That's Darkman 3.
Die Bart Die? The Bart the?
No. Darkman 3, Die Darkman Die is, to me, the greatest sequel name of all time.
I guess also like Die Hard and Die Harder and Die Hard with a Vengeance, like those, but not really. Like people, like there are like there's the meme on Twitter where it's like listing out like to Moana to whatever, right? Like it's just, it doesn't even fit, but they just still fit into the naming scheme. So
it's fun.
So what are we saying to Lewis and those beautiful bastards did it again? How do you want to respond to this tweet?
Oh, wait, Lewis goes on. Can I say what Lewis says about his own tweet?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
He says, by the way, this tweet has gotten a lot of...
it blew up.
He says, not a single one of these sequel names have cohered. These guys have done numbers, subtitles, different one-word titles, puns, and abbreviations. No consistency. Now it's Roman numerals. My heart is full.
Yes. It's beautiful.
So I'm going to respond to the second one. So how do you want to say? And if you need some help, Joe is. I will give Joe credit. He's not good at getting points, but he's good at writing tweets that I feel should work for the game. So if you need some suggestions, Joe can help. Or if you have a thing, because we're going to end it with Boy, Do We Have a Podcast for you and link to the show. But how do you want to customize this tweet so that Lewis, in theory, follows ours?
I think we have to go with like a. We are too excited for you to join in listening to like our podcast, and in parentheses Tokyo Drift. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to do a combination of all of like goofy titling things, and then be like, listen to our podcast, Fast and Furious presents. Like, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
I'm saying we are. So I was doing that already. So we are Fast and Furious presents : 2. The number 2 excited. Number 4 you. Number 2 join boy and join and listen to our podcast : Tokyo Drift. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Yes, perfect. That's. I mean, you don't have to use that, but
no, it makes as much sense. Like it, I know what I said sounds like nonsense, but reading it makes as little sense. So
yeah,
it's out there in the world.
There you go.
All right, Joe, you sent yours. Please hit us with your tweet. This is also a quote tweet. Oh wait, no, mine's a quote tweet. Yours is not a quote tweet. Yes, please hit us with yours.
Mine's from Madison at Maddie 2022 Life, whose profile says "Family is everything." She says, okay, so I'm a huge fan of Fast and Furious Saga, and I just want to know, are they going to bring Gal Gadot back? Because they brought back everyone else, and I want my favorite character back too, ? We anxiously await the return of Gal, and we have so many theories on how this could happen. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
We anxiously await the return of Gal, and we have so many theories as to how this could happen. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Yep.
I found Doit at dewey quote tweeting the Academy at the Academy. If you could own any vehicle from a film, which would you choose and why? Which I quote tweeted and said from our account, I'll take any as long as it's a 10-second car. But Doit says, Suki's pink Honda from Too Fast, Too Furious. No further explanation.
None needed.
And I'm just going to say no. Yeah, exactly. No further explanation needed. Boy,
John,
the inside for you.
The inside of her seats were crafted lovingly with floor mats for your bathroom. That's why they're so fuzzy.
Nice.
Yeah, a little inside.
It's also the car that the villain in the first movie drives, repurposed for this movie, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, a lot of the cars are repurposed in this movie from the first movie.
Well, John, thank you for not only breaking your streak and watching a movie and hating that movie, but for joining us to talk about it. So I really appreciate you bailing us out at the last minute and breaking your streak for us, falling off that wagon.
Awesome.
You are no longer sober. You're no longer abstinent. You are now part of the hashtag family.
You're welcome.
No, I think you articulated, and that's always, what we ask. That's that's the best thing you can do, and you're allowed to not like it. I mean, you'll come around eventually when you watch it for the
You'll
6th
realize
time.
that you were wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just glad it's the worst one in the franchise, according to basically everybody. That's I'll say that much. Yeah. So it can only go uphill from here.
Exactly.
Is there anything, and I know that there is, because that's also why I brought you on, what would you like to plug? What would you like to promote? What would you like to talk about? Where can people find you if you want more of you in the world? This comes out Tuesday, so this is a hard to believe week, not a 1999 the week, but please hit us with both.
Yeah, well, yesterday, a new episode of Hard to Believe came out, and that comes out every other Monday from yesterday forever. You know what I mean? I don't know how to say that.
Too Fast, Too Forever. We know it.
In days ending in odd numbers or even numbers, depending on the month. I don't know. Anyway, every other Monday, every Monday I have a podcast. How's that? Is that good? Every Monday.
That's a much simpler way of saying it.
You can find a podcast that I'm on every Monday. Hard to believe.
You have a very simple release schedule that you set up, and somehow you managed to say it in the most convoluted way possible.
You'll find a podcast I'm on Monday. Which podcast will it be? Depends on the Monday. I don't know.
Every other Monday I'm on. Every other Monday I'm not on, except for the episodes that I am on.
If you subscribe to Hard to Believe, and if you subscribe to 1999 the podcast with me and Joey, you will get to listen to me talk every Monday about either religion slash philosophy slash conspiracy theory slash other assorted fun, interesting stuff.
Which are very fun.
Yeah, about the weird stuff that human beings believe and do and think and say, or about the film canon of 1999, which is what I'm doing with Joey and is new. And there are now one episode still. Well, two episodes. Two episodes, but one movie and a new one coming up on Monday, which is going to be a good one. So,
what's our next? Is it Phantom Menace or something before that?
It's the Phantom Menace.
Ooh, I watched, and this makes more sense on this show, even though it doesn't make any sense on the show. I watched last night the original trailers for the Blair Witch and Phantom Menace, and I know that I have the benefit of hindsight, but like watching the Phantom Menace trailer, I'm like, how was anyone excited for this? Like, I understand the hype. I understand why people were excited, but like people going to buy movie tickets to another, and I'm sure we'll talk about that too. But I'm just like watching this and it's like, this looks bad. Like I don't.
Blair Witch Project trailer was great though, right?
I don't know that I saw the original Blair Witch trailer because like it has like pull quotes from like Peter Travers and stuff, which is like
I think that was it.
It might have been. It seemed, but like I just want like this is like a thing that somebody found in a closet somewhere and just like we cut a trailer together. Like I want like more like the authentic, like the word of mouth. But yeah, I watched those last night in preparation for the next two episodes we're recording. So I'm very excited to talk about both those movies on 1999 the podcast.
Me too, and I gotta say, like, I actually think that the Phantom Menace trailer is one of the great trailers of all time, and I think it also is one of the I think it's also a really kind of groundbreaking trailer that it really changed the way that people did trailers.
Interesting.
From that point forward. So, I haven't gone back and watched it, but like I know all the scenes and how it plays out, and the other sort of like TV spot trailers for Phantom Menace, the tone poems were amazing and like better than the movie itself. So it's an interesting thing that you say that, because I also understand why, sort of as someone looking at it kind of objectively, right, like not having had the sort of memory of at the moment that you would say that. But
I also realized that I might have been saying a lie all podcast long. I might have seen Phantom Menace in theaters. If there was any movie I saw in theaters that year that we're going to cover, it would have been Phantom Menace, I think.
Well, if you were paying attention to the Austin Powers trailer, that instructed you to do that. So that trailer literally said, if you see one movie this summer, make sure it's Star Wars. And if you see two movies, see Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, which was the funniest thing about that movie. Everything else about that movie is not so funny. But we're going to cover it eventually, and we're going to have a good talk about The Phantom Menace.
I just looked up on Letterboxd lists of car movies, and I found the one that had the most. And I don't know if this is a car movie necessarily because it's not listed in the write-up. I've never heard of this movie, but we might need to cover this movie just because it's a car movie. Have you seen, or we do have plans to cover the movie Two Hands?
I've never heard of it.
Heath Ledger and Rose Byrne.
Wow. Interesting.
A 19-year-old finds himself in debt to a local gangster when some gang loot disappears and sets him on the run from thugs. Meanwhile, two street kids start a shopping spree when they find the missing money. Only 7,000 people have seen it on Letterboxd, but it has an average rating of 3.6, which is very, very high. So
wow.
Whether we do it on that show or this show, I think Two Hands with Heath Ledger and Rose Byrne feels like a movie we might have to do. So
I like the cut of that movie's jib, as it were.
Pretty cool.
Maybe we'll cross over. We'll see.
But next week, I know what we are definitively doing. So, Joe, when we were doing Heat, I was like, I don't know where we go from here. We just watched maybe the best heist movie. I'm kind of worried what's going to come from the rest of the lap, blah, blah, blah. And then I remembered, oh, wait, there's no need to be worried. Do you know what movie we're doing next, Joe? Do you have any idea?
No, I have no idea. What is it?
Utah, Get Me To. We are doing Point Break.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, beautiful.
Wes just responded to one of our tweets. What did he say? Hold on. Never mind. That was about my amazing upper class joke about Fast X your seatbelts. He wanted to give us both negative favorites for this. Get out of here, Wes. Get out of here, Wes. But yes, next week is Point Break, which I'm very excited about. I've not seen that in a couple years, maybe. So
really, Rachel's gonna be so pissed. I put it on like once a week.
I mean, I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times. I saw it with a live score in Austin. I'll talk about that. Like, I love this movie, obviously.
No, but I'm saying, like, it's one of these that's always on TV, and every time it's on TV, I'm like, I put it on, and she's like, God damn it, not Point Break again.
I feel like I do the same thing with As I'm driving around in my car, speaking of cars, I look through the SiriusXM radio just to see, because it's always on for the Harry Styles song As It Was, which is a great song. But like, if I'm in town, like getting dinner and there's like an 8-minute drive, I will find it twice in 8 minutes. Like, it's just on every channel. So like, I play a game now. How many times can I find the Harry Styles song on SiriusXM before I get home? And the answer is usually 2.
I've been playing a game where somebody wearing all black runs in front of my car at least once a day.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. All right. Well, John, thank you again for joining us, and thank you for listening. And for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com and our store at TooFastTooForever.shop, and come back next week for the Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey joint, Point Break. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And that was John Brooks of Hard to Believe and 1999 the podcast, and we'll tell you all about it.
See you